to the Kent Lapp Podcast.
And the cool thing is that gets to the point where you kind of remove the need for a physical laptop, period.
God,
and
instead, so crazy.
Yeah, it's mind-blowing, yeah. And you instead bring a pair of glasses with you, and that is your computer, right? Especially with the hand tracking technology that we're working on, all of that enables you to not even need a physical keyboard anymore.
Well, explain that too, because I saw in your email to me, it said this email was written in VR.
Oh, yeah.
And then I saw demos, so I know what you're talking about, but explain that to the listeners.
Yeah. So our team, we work in VR. Like our team is like I would say a third in person and 2/3 remote, but we work together in VR. And so what that looks like is I'm around my screens in VR. I have a headset on. It spawns 5 screens. Because we have hand tracking in VR right now, there are cameras on the actual headset that track your hands in 3D space. And so you quite literally lift up your hands and you see your hands in VR. It's like an avatar hand. It's pretty mind-blowing.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. And so we have a virtual keyboard that actually is overlaid onto your physical keyboard. So you have your MacBook right in front of you. And so the virtual keyboard is overlaid perfectly with the physical keyboard. So when you reach in VR to touch this virtual keyboard, you feel your physical keyboard too. And so you're able to touch each.
You do feel your physical keyboard.
For now.
But you don't have to.
You don't have to. But the longer term goal is for us to be able to essentially create a virtual keyboard that you can kind of move in 3D space and you essentially be dependent on light and sound in order to give you that haptic feedback, right? So the cool thing about the way humans work is, like, for example, when you smell something, you almost feel like you're tasting it, right? Likewise, when you hear and see something, and if it's pulled off right, it actually feels like you're touching something when you're not, right? So if you think about back in the day with BlackBerries, before the iPhone, it had buttons on them, right? And people are like, wait, the iPhone has no buttons?
Exactly.
How am I going to be able to click?
I remember that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everyone was so concerned. But then now you transition to a world where you kind of don't even need buttons. You click on the screen and it works. Likewise, in the people will say all the time, oh, but I need the tactile feedback of my keyboard. I'm like, you say that, you don't realize that you actually don't. There was actually a demo a few years ago of this company that worked on this hardware that tracks your hands. It was like an external piece of hardware. It was like $80. It definitely wasn't a good user experience. But the cool thing was the proof of concept of seeing your hands in VR. Again, this is like 5 years ago, so that was really mind-blowing technology. Since then, the company has sort of tanked. They got acquired for pennies on the dollar, sort of thing, because they just didn't figure out the business model. But the proof of concept was there, and they had this demo where you had a virtual keyboard, and as you're pressing each button, the keys would highlight, and you'd hear a sound. And actually, it felt like you were typing. It was really pretty mind-blowing. And so we're going to be bringing that into our product, hopefully in this next year, where you can move your virtual keyboard with your bare hands and kind of type in the air, and you don't even need to have your laptop around.
And in theory, you could move it a little higher and look a little higher, right? You could move
just
your
wherever
keyboard kind of wherever you'd want it to be.
You could even like sit back in your chair.
Take it with you?
Exactly, yeah.
And you're saying, look, you're not disregarding the need for tactile feedback. You're just saying you can get that through sounds and light.
Yeah, because your brain fills in the gap. You've seen this in this use case in so many different things. Even right now, the hand tracking is, I would say, about 85% accurate, which is not very accurate. But the way the human brain works is, like if you kind of hold the headset up and then look at your hand, it's kind of off. It's not perfect. It's pretty good, but it's 85% of the way there. That 15%, it actually is a pretty huge difference. But when you put the headset on completely, it actually feels like your hand. Have you ever seen that hand experiment that went viral on YouTube? What they did was they put a synthetic like rubber hand next to yours, that was same skin color, whatever, and they would put a cardboard block up. Or a cardboard or like a sheet right here. And so your hand would be here, that's hidden by the cardboard thing, and this synthetic or rubber hand that looks just like yours would be right next to it. And the person who's on this side of the table would take a feather and stroke your real hand along with the other thing, and then they would like take like their own finger and touch it, and then a second later, they pull out a hammer and they smash the rubber one.
I saw this.
And the person's like, ah! And they're like, oh, sorry, I don't know if I screamed at this thing, but they like scream. And they're like, oh, I felt that. And they pretend like they felt that when they really didn't. You didn't even touch their physical hand.
Yes.
Your brain fills in. It's pretty mind blowing. Your brain fills in that gap just the way the human brain works. And so the same thing in VR. Even though the accuracy is only about 85% accurate, you actually feel like these are your hands. And so likewise, when you move this virtual keyboard and you see the light and sound, it's going to feel like what it used to be on typing on a physical keyboard.